So my experience using the vanilla software was working with my Vanguard advisory team. It actually was mind-blowing for me. It was really extraordinary because for the first time ever, I was actually able to build a household balance sheet. And what we did is we had a preliminary call where they had a series of questions that the software prompted them to ask. A lot of it was about holdings that weren't visible to the Vanguard team. And then a couple weeks later, we sat down and met, and they showed me the output from the software. And I'd never seen everything all in one place. Also laid out all of the family, and actually, you could think about it almost like a family tree. And the visualization of the family tree, you'd say, well, that's pretty simple. But again, I've got a big family, so it actually is not that simple. And so seeing that done in an automated way, instead of having to draw little circles on a whiteboard or whatever and label them, again, I was like, wow, here it all is. And then as we went through it, then we got into talking a lot about, okay, these are the goals you gave us. How might they change? And as we sort of worked around some of the data, I'm like, wow, what if I wanted to give away more here? What if I wanted to do more for, the grandkids' education? I came up with a whole bunch of different questions. And again, you can literally, there's a lot of scenario planning that's built into the software. And so you really begin to get a sense of how rich the dialogue can be. I walked out and I carried the report home. And, what was really interesting is I could sit down with my wife and just sort of go through page by page with her. And she's like getting it like that. And I wouldn't say those conversations because, she's not from the industry. So for her to be able to see things in a really clear way, again, I think the vanilla experience really helped that. I think the initial response a lot of people had was, well, that's great, but it really only matters for ultra high net worth individuals. And I think everybody needs help with this, whether you're a $100 million family or whether you're somebody with a $50,000 401k plan. How you think about who your beneficiaries are, how you're going to form your estate, if you will, and where do you want to give money? Do you want to give money to charity? Do you want to give money to your family? Do you want to give money to another group of individuals? I mean, there's all these questions that need to be answered. And then what's really interesting to me is when you look at the marketplace from that lens, there are 150 million investors who could benefit from this. There are thousands of advisors providing advice to those investors, and they're not doing the trust, estate, and legacy stuff all that well. I know the Vanguard team really well. I mean, I was here when we were building this business. I've never seen them so excited about a new service. And I think if you'd asked me a year ago to take their temperature, they would have said, interesting idea, but we'll see how it plays. They've embraced this technology and they really think it's special. I think what they saw when they went through the exercise with me is how powerful the visualization is when you can actually show people charts and graphs and pictures on a screen. And then, if you want, you can translate it to paper, as opposed to drawing things on, in a notebook or on a whiteboard. And then when you can try a couple of different sets of assumptions out and watch the differences appear, they could see the type of discussion that we had, them as the advisor and me as the client, was much deeper, much richer. We never had those discussions. It wasn't part of the story. So they get to know me better, and they get to know what my real, longer term goals are as a result, in a much broader way than just, let's run the portfolio in a really efficient way. And, they could sense how much value they were creating for me as a client. And that's really the key here is the ability for the advisor to add that much value to a client. And I think this is going to be a really important part of the advisor's competitive landscape as we go forward. Advisors who can't show the value that they're creating for their clients, I think are going to be under pressure. To be successful in this business, you're going to have to do a great job on the investment side, but you're going to increasingly have to do a great job on the planning side. And if you take planning to the fullest extent and get into legacy and estate, that's where you can demonstrate perhaps the greatest value add of all.